Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Quake Pro League, where we're coming into our second series of the night. Now, we've noticed quite a few of you were asking about what went on last week with Avok's game versus Base. Unfortunately, due to Avok's internet issues, this was played off stream. If you are interested in watching that one and seeing how that glorious game went down, you can find it. That's over on the Quake official YouTube channel, where you can watch the VODs of that series. You might as well check it out if you missed it, as it was a bit of a dazzling affair. Meanwhile, with the game we have going on here live now, though, with this week of the Quake Pro League, Harry, we're getting into Psygib versus ZenAku.
Yeah,
My
ZenAku
hand's really
hasn't
flattened out
had
there.
the best of start, shall we say? Yeah, just a little bit, just a little bit. But yeah, ZenAku, the best way to talk about him right now is the fact that he needs to get some wins in this best of three on board. Just due to the fact that he's won some maps here and there, he's had plenty of weeks to kind of not just stabilize, but just get used to the weekly format. And we did say it's going to be rough for him for the first few weeks. It's not for any new Quake players who's coming to the Pro League, because everyone else has already had at least 20 weeks and 2 stage finals. But for him now, it's the 8th week. He needs to get to a stage where he has to close out these matches, because he's winning a map here and there, and some of them are very good opponents in the North American scene. But it's the fact that he's got to close out the best of 3 series, because it's really letting him down at this point, and that's why it's so low in the rankings at this point in time.
Well, it's a struggle, right? Because obviously, me and ZenAku have spoke about it to death, basically, with some of the effects that he's having to play with a ping. How obviously Nosfer is a little bit more already adapted to it, so he's been doing a really good job of playing around that ping, playing a lot more aggressively rather than not really taking the fights. We've now seen those playstyle changes start to affect ZenAku. He can't really play the way he was playing pre-Quake Pro League when he was playing on LAN, obviously in the qualifiers, now at challenger stages. He's had to really shift his paradigm, and I think it has affected him a bit. We do actually have the veto for this one as well. We can see what that's going to look like and how that might actually change things. But yeah, ZenAku, it's a rough one, right? We know he's such a talented player. It's just he's trying to do the best he can.
Yeah, no, I think what you said was perfect. He is trying to do everything he can, and he is better on a small map geometry in terms of like Karate Keep and Awoken and Veil. Those kind of maps are probably better for him, but he's also quite good at ruins when he wants to be. But as you can see from the picks from the champions and the maps, Karate Keep and Awoken already come out of the woodwork. So he should be quite happy about that. And what I find quite funny is the fact that ZenAku is actually very good at Awoken too, but it seems to have left it for Psygib. Psygib's actually chosen it for him. So I wouldn't say he's laughing at this point in time, but he should feel quite comfortable in the set he's in. And then Blood Covenant, that should be a definitely interesting one with the Knicks versus the Slash. But even then, he's choosing, he normally chooses the tankier champions, which he has done apart from the Slash at the end.
It is interesting. I don't know, man. Like, it's almost as if the picks he's gone for at this point, he's just started wilding, and he's like, right, you know what? If I'm gonna start getting them wins in, I'm gonna come out with the cheesiest picks I can go for and do some damage on these. You know what I mean? It's like scale bearers in there,
exactly.
and you'd be like, all right, fair enough, a scale bearer. But then when you get the scale bearer and the keel, it's just like he's a madman, isn't he? He's just looking to have a bit of a game.
It was like a few weeks ago. I can't remember who it was. Was it Dramus who used a slash on Awoken? I think it was Dramus. I'm not 100%,
I'm
but
pretty
that was
sure,
a
yeah.
very interesting champion. And it wasn't a champion I would normally pick, but for Kill, maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe he has an ace up his sleeve, something we don't know. But I'll be interested to see what he will do with that Kill, the Karate Keep. But with the Strog, it's pretty safe to say why he's chosen it. He wants to at least have the agility to get around in case he's falling back in any way, shape, or form, especially with the Pika as well. But ZenAku, he needs to do something here. But Psygib, we haven't really spoken or talked about him much at all. He's a sort of player where he has been going on the up. He had top 8 the stage 1 finals, top 6 stage 2 finals. He needs to keep that progression going. He needs to make sure that he at least tries and goes for another top 6 or top 4. He's proven that he is still one of the best North American players, but he's known for how methodical he is. So ZenAku has the aggression to actually make sure he gets the flanks, the rotations, the unorthodox play style to try and throw him off. And it's going to be difficult, but Nosfer's done it. And ZenAku's play style is quite similar to Nosfer in terms of how quick he likes to speed up the pace of the matches. So Psygib needs to make sure he is on his toes as we head in to map number 1, surely.
Yeah, Corrupted Keek to kick us off. I don't know when the last time, or if I have actually even seen a kill on Corrupted Keep. Maybe Rafa at one point has done it. It seems like the sort of thing you'd throw into the mix. But let's have a look and see what it can do. If those pineapples can cause some absolute problems for the Strog and Pika. ZenAku taking on Psygib in this series. Kicking it off here. Already 30 seconds in as they create a bit of space between each other. ZenAku on a hunt to bolster his arsenal.
Yeah, watching ZenAku now is just keeping himself at bay for the time being, but at least he's got the heavy and he's got a very healthy stat. But then again, so has Psygib, so he needs to be careful on how he wants to try and execute this. He's looking for the long range kind of shots, you know, just trying to feed the info. He doesn't want to get into a close range bout without having to, you know, the full awareness of what Psygib is up to. But this is a very different style from ZenAku from what we've seen in previous weeks, as he knows what Psygib is like. He likes to play that methodical approach. Sometimes can be quite aggressive. Does like to enjoy to switch up his playstyles now and again. But ZenAku is on the right track. He's keeping a healthy stack. He's getting those shots in. Just making sure that he's keeping him guessing at all times.
ZenAku. That's unfortunate. Playing quite nicely around that opening there, but did take a bit of damage. The splash damage has forced him back quite heavily. Good use of the pineapples, though, to get a bit of distance between them both. He's slowly but surely chipping down Psygib. However, this is where he's fallen to an awkward angle, playing from the vertical look up around by the statue. Does at least get himself the Mega to replenish himself. What carnage can he now cause? He's left Psygib incredibly low. Beautiful connections coming out there as well. As he's shredding him down, the super shotgun might be pretty darn super, but it really doesn't have the range to finish him from that substantial distance. And ZenAku is forced to fall back for the meantime. Almost netting himself this first frag, but he just can't quite close it out so many times. He's dropped him to about 15 HP. And finally, he takes that stack off him.
There was one thing I did like about that. That was a beautiful frag there from ZenAku, but going back to that first frag, he was being extremely cautious, extremely patient. He knew there was no point in just chasing the frag down and down again, because he knew that at some stage it will come to him, as long as he has the long range distance, the weaponry to actually follow through, and he did. And that takes a lot of discipline for any player to do that, especially when they're that weak. But as I say that, ZenAku has finally been taken down. It definitely took a few minutes, but this is definitely a very slow matchup, especially for a map like Corrupted Keep.
It is. They're playing a lot more respectful. It's interesting as well, because obviously that's sort of the main point that we were saying, right? It's how ZenAku's playstyle is adapted to be a lot more aggressive, a lot more in your face. I think to try and balance out with the ping, put him at a disadvantage, he is looking to be the one that creates those initiations. Obviously versus a Psygib, though, that is quite hard because of the sheer speed. Versus a Strog and Pika, rather. Ooh, all right. Psygib dropped into him as they wanted to fight over who got the Mega. Instead, he just gets cut in half by the LG, and then instead finds the follow-up frag as well, as he'll rocket ZenAku down. This one's already been a bit of a spicy meatball, Harry.
It definitely has indeed, and I just find it quite... the phrase? Quite peculiar, because this is how Psygib normally plays, but it's like ZenAku's copied his playstyle in some ways, and it's working for him. He's obviously done his research, not just on the player alone, but just on everyone else to see what's the best way to play Corrupted Keep. But ZenAku just seems to be on the right track. He's playing it slow, but he's playing it accordingly, and it's quite difficult in that kind of retrospect, because if you want to play quite passive, you need to be quite aggressive on the spawn pressure as well. And that was beautiful from ZenAku there to increase his lead further. 4-2 now, and Psygib is in a spot of bother at this point, Jack.
Oh, he really is. Taking a lot of damage, falling 2 frags behind, and starting to lose any real dominance on the map. He's not being able to establish any map control. Major items start heavily falling into the favor of the Australian All-Star, then this is when this could incredibly barrel out of control. The Mega's basically been his whenever he wants it, and it's worrying stuff. Psygib as well, diving in, potentially a little bit too overly aggressive there, as he just doesn't have any stack to fight with. And this keel is trying to make him keel over.
Love it. As we go into almost the second half of this first map, ZenAku is kept to his guns. He's sticking to the same style, finding the info, seeking out exactly where he is, but the LG only gets a few shots off, but he is massively stacked. This could be his time to go in with that LG, and he's just on a slimmer of health as he cleans up Psygib very nicely here. And this is a very clean, not just frags, but the plays in general from ZenAku, and I'm very happy for him here, as you can clearly see that everything he's done has paid off, but he needs to show the consistency and not get too carried away, as that rocket from ZenAku, nicely done, and gets to heavy to make matters worse here for Psygib.
This is crazy. The worrying factor is as well, right? Like, genuinely, with the season standings for ZenAku, Harry, I wouldn't be surprised if when we see him back in an environment where he could be on LAN again, he would be absolutely ferocious, because he's adapted his playstyle so much. It seems like he's really been putting the hours in to learn a lot of the routes and rotations we see other players in the league actually bring out. In terms of groundwork, it seems like he's really been putting a shift in.
He really has. If he's playing with this amount of latency and is doing this well, I'd be severely worried for any player in the scene at this point in time. But ZenAku has to show the consistency as the LGs do come out. So there's the shotguns, but ZenAku wins the bout again. Psygib was so close to him, even being able to finish him off in any way, shape or form. But this kill's really working for him, and it seems like the defensive style with the kill seems to be better off compared to how Psygib's playing right now, where even though it's methodical, he's been playing a lot more aggressive, and he needs to with only 3.5 minutes left remaining.
Well, that's the issue, right? Is he's fallen so far behind and realizes his only opportunity really is to fully commit and overextend into a lot of these fights. He just doesn't have the time to wait for a good opportunity. But ZenAku had such a better stack. He had the major item control. He's still hitting these worrying shots as well to consistently stagger Psygib. So every time he does dive in, it doesn't take much for him to either frag or get left on such a low stack that ZenAku can quickly trade it back into his favor. So a 9-3 split now on the kills. We're 7 minutes in here on Keep. And I think this is ZenAku's game to keep at this point.
Couldn't agree more. He's absolutely pounding him to a pole and not giving him any chance to breathe at this stage, but tries to make something happen and he doesn't. And it's pretty much a repeat from the EU scene. You know, you had Ron, who hasn't won a series. ZenAku hasn't won one either, but has been closest to actually closing out series. But we could see a repeat, but for ZenAku, this is only the first map. It could be a different story in the second one, and ZenAku's just having a field day at this point.
Man, he's looking absolutely monstrous right now. Some of the kills he's been getting are just disgusting in the way he's been approaching it. You wouldn't even realize he had about 300 ping, Harry. This man is on top of the world.
Yeah, it is literally his playground at this moment in time. But I think one of the things he has corrected, his aim has always been pretty good. But normally the more patient and passive you are, normally that's how better your aim can be as well. And it seems to have corrected those little mistakes here and there. But as well as the passiveness and his defensive style actually increasing his aim skill, it seems to be affecting his movement as well, and in terms of choosing which decisions he wants to make before executing certain fights. But that was one he definitely didn't want to get himself into there. But Psygib is quite weak, but as I say, that does have the heavy now, and he is on the hunt, but it is a little bit too late. He's got 1:15 to get eight frags. And if my maths are correct, it is looking very, very unlikely.
Oh, yeah. It would be a damn miracle if there was any way Psygib could do this.
1 minute.
Not only would he need to bust out his Marauders map parry to manage the mischief, he would also need a time turner to be able to win this one. And it's not going to happen. It's a 13-5, and it is only getting more out of hand in the favor of this kill, as he has been pushing himself towards victory at a startlingly fast rate. This is a huge way to start off the series as well on a high point.
Yeah, I've not really studied ZenAku too much. I studied him a little bit back when he was in Challenger League. But even then now, it seems to be throughout the course of this process of the Pro League, he's been trying to at least fix his style and try and fix something which suits him best. And I think he's kind of found it at this point. But it depends if he shows that consistency like I mentioned earlier. But look at this though, 15 seconds left. Psygib trying to be on the hunt once more. Too little, too late. But how is Psygib going to at least try and fix the mistakes he made? We'll have to find out. But it did manage to catch up. But then again, ZenAku was already well away as ZenAku takes that quite comfortably, the first map.
Yeah, a beautiful way to kick off the series. Hopefully this shows that this is something to actually really push himself deeper with. I'd love to see him play into this level all the time. He's an enjoyable player to watch on the server. And as you said, it seems like he's found his new approach that works a whole lot better for him. It's a lot more aggressive. He's basically setting the pace of the game and then slowing down the tempo once he's established control, allowing the pushes to come towards him. It's a lot more adaptive, which is way better. It's not just like a one-trick pony style of Quake. It's a lot more, I'd say, streamlined. You can see that he's actually done his research onto when he needs to turn off the speed, when he needs to turn it, put his foot on the pedal.
Yeah, defensive and passive styles, whatever you want to call it, does normally benefit the player who likes to adapt to their opponent a lot more. But that's why they start showing more of their speed and aggression later on, because it's like, well, you're going to do this, so you're probably going to make this rotation because you've done it 3 or 4 times in the space of 5 minutes or anything like that. And that's what ZenAku is trying to do at this moment in time. You saw Dramus throughout stage 2. There was a lot of times where he was chasing kills. He was doing some things here and there which he shouldn't have really been doing, quite major mistakes. And you saw from there, Dramus changed his style, became, you could say, a lot more defensive, managed to adapt a lot easier, a lot quicker, stopped chasing frags. And it seems to help him a lot more. And ZenAku's kind of also finding that ground, because you will be playing a lot of similar players in Challenger League. Pro League is a completely different story and caliber of players, especially around that tier 1, tier 2 kind of area. So ZenAku, if he wants to continue playing like this, he should do, because it is working against Psygib. But will it help against other players? Only time will tell. But as long as he continues how he played map 1, then Psygib is going to continue to have issues here, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out. Moving on now onto Awoken. Ranger for Psygib. Scale Bearer pick for ZenAku, of course. Another little spicy play coming in there. I mean, the kill worked out absolutely fabulously for him. The use of the pineapples was actually pretty damn perfect. He did very well bringing it into the server. So I'm excited to see it. Hopefully, he can continue on with some of the high-octane plays he had coming through. For Psygib, we need to see him wake up a little bit more. This man has been on a constant upwards draft. He has forced himself into the upper echelons of the Quake Pro League, and now he needs to bite back here on Awoken.
A map, ZenAku would probably say one of his better maps, considering what we saw from that last game on Corrupted Keep. But what can Psygib do here to try and capitalize and try and tie things up in this series? But Psygib is playing very defensively at this moment in time, but it's been given top mid control due to the fact that ZenAku is waiting for that mega, but has decided to leave it for the time being. Will he come back? I'm not sure if he will. May prioritize the heavy, but as I say that, he's definitely going to go for the heavy now after that circumstance. Nice LG from Psygib, gets the mega and manages to pull back.
So Psygib made his move over towards the rail room. Now finally has a railgun in his back pocket. We know he can be damn pretty effective with this weapon if he's in the right position, but he's going quite aggressive, completely repositioning, instead making his move over towards the middle, setting himself up, looking like a panther waiting to pounce, fires out the warning rocket, instead fully commits to what is quite a nicely used lightning gun. Basically got every single tick off with that weapon to leave ZenAku so low, so lifeless, that it didn't take much to finish him off. Again, a recommit as well of a well-timed Dire Orb to secure the Mega and the second frag into the game. Psygib has gone out swinging on Awoken, and we could be in for a treat here. Our first game of Awoken of the night was a bloody incredible affair. Hopefully we get another one here.
It was literally frag central, wasn't it? There was no stopping both of those players earlier on. And could we see a repeat? Not too sure. It depends on the fight for the mega here, because you saw Psygib has got the timings right so that he can orb to the mega if need be when it comes to picking up the heavy first. But he's playing very patient. ZenAku, he wants to show the aggression. He wants to change the styles up a little bit. But will it work? We'll have to find out, as Psygib is still holding that rail, still waiting for those angles. But the tri-bolts have been miraculous. Anyway, he managed to get the first. Will he try and get the second? He's definitely tempted, but managed to drop down here. Managed to get the first rocket on board. He's up the heavy. just barely manages to survive and gets that first frag on the board.
Man, it's crazy how this is going for him right now. Getting through by the skin of his teeth. Back over towards the Mega, but he's too late. 10 seconds ago, it was snatched by the Australian. It started to create some distance between them both. He has locked down towards middle, but this probably means ZenAku can have the quicker rotation towards the heavy, and he should get it. Controlling both of the major items, his stack is getting quite large, gargantuan, if you will, as of course he is on that scale bearer as well. Quite a heavy champion. Psygib trying to reposition, dodged that shot, and did land one of his own from that beautiful-looking railgun.
Psygib, as you saw there, some great rails from him. He was tempted to go for one more. It won't be the case, and ZenAku manages to clean him up anyway. Beautiful shot with the shotgun there. But Psygib now, what is going to be his next motive? He is going to try and back him off the Mega just a little bit, but it's a little bit too late. As ZenAku will be waiting for his next opportunity to try and pincer him one way or another. But Psygib's not giving him any kind of opportunity. Just trying to build up his weaponry for the time being.
Shots coming out. But nothing quite connecting just yet. 2 frag deficit for ZenAku. Good situational awareness of where Psygib is, though, as he was trying to reposition to set up for another rail shot. They both battle over that control of middle once again. It isn't really too ideal. Both of them with a slight miss on the railgun as well. The free fire not working out too fantastically for them both. Tri-bolts soaring through the sky as they look to deny the push from ZenAku. It's a little bit more timid from both of them, Harry. Not looking to try and make the first mistake. Ball rush comes out. That orb was so clutch.
It had to be done. Some people may say it's a waste, some people may say it's not because he could have got out of the way, but it was definitely more than necessary as the LGs come out, but ZenAku commits suicide. That's the worst thing that could have happened to him. But let's be real, he was quite weak anyway, to say the least. So now ZenAku has to try and fight back. 3 frags. It probably would have been 3 anyway. Would have been 4-1 in favour of Psygib. But you are right, though. It depends on how things will pan out. But it's such a slow matchup as the LGs do come out once more. But instead, ZenAku wins that bout. But still plenty of time. This is pretty much a game of chess here, Jackie.
It is. It really is indeed. It's so back and forth, but no one wanted to make the first mistake. Be better if they turn it into a game of chess boxing, Harry, so we can start seeing some fists flying. ZenAku, maybe now I will try and take that first hit. Turns the corner, battling for control of the rail room, firing those shots across and hoping to connect them. He is being punished. They're starting to strip him down. He's okay as long as he does evade for the meantime. Quick dash to get out of there. Goes round to try and overthrow back by the banana. Looking for control of the Mega. It still isn't up for another 15 seconds. Just slight taps coming through.
Both these players trading rails back and forth. There's no stopping these guys, but ZenAku again with another one. He needs maybe just 1 or 2 more clean rails just to at least get that second frag on the board. But Psygib knows exactly what he's doing with that methodical approach. He's just making sure he's keeping himself at bay, make sure he's not railable in any way, shape or form. But ZenAku's stack is getting way out of hand, but at least Psygib there managed to get 1 shot off. He's going to be looking for a second soon with that top mid control, but ZenAku's going to be charging in straight away, and again manages to get away once more.
ZenAku forced to immediately retreat and dive back. Does at least get the light armor to put himself back into a slightly better position. Picks up the tri-bolt as well to fire out those warning shots. Time is whizzing by, and it's been quite a low frag game between the both of them. Still plenty of time for him to get back into the action if he wants to. He's not really overstepping his boundaries. He's just waiting for an opportunity to serve itself. constantly spamming on the corner right now. Dubious and a bit paranoid about the potential push coming around from Psygib. Makes his move on towards the Mega. As the orb goes out, luckily was able to adjust after just barely seeing a glimpse of the Ranger there. But still, no damage is done. No one trading any blows.
I love how both players had the exact same intentions, just heavily delay both the item, the Mega and the Heavy. But as I say that, ZenAku almost caught with his life there. He's trying to barely stay alive, trying to get one more rail off, but it isn't to be. He needs to back away now, but managed to get the Heavy anyway. Goes for the full rush, but will he be able to get him? No, he's decided to back up once more. Gets another rail. My goodness, Psygib is literally playing with fire here, as he's trying to at least pull away for the time being. But ZenAku's just all over him. He's found an opportunity to try and sort him out. Will he beat a frag? No, it won't, as Psygib managed to clean things up with a slimmer of health.
It is worrying. That extra frag could mean the world to him. Nearly got ring outed though, once again, as he was knocked over straight towards the edge. 1 minute and 30 seconds left. ZenAku, now you have to completely switch things on its head. He's been playing quite slow. He's been allowing Psygib to make a mistake before he tries to dive in and capitalize. Instead, he has to be the one to create those openings. Lots of damage found there, but still not a frag, just barely tags. And this is where it gets worrying. Basically 60 seconds remain. Psygib trying to secure control, but instead gets caught up on the ledge, falls. And now it's into the final minute. ZenAku, once he gets this heavy, he's going to have to go out windmilling to find these frags.
No more defensive players anymore. It's going to be all aggro, no matter what kind of disadvantageous position he's in. He is going for the hunt and trying to do everything he can, but so is Psygib. He's trying to fight for his life at this point in time. Is she about to get this frag? Yes, he will. ZenAku needs only one more to tie things up and take it to sudden death. But will he though? This is the question. Is he still trying to find out where he is? Knows where he is now, but he hasn't really got the stack. But he can take his time just a little bit, just enough to make sure he's not in a bad position. But look at this though. He's going to get the Mega. Still only got 15 seconds left on the clock. He knows to go for it now. Psygib's just listening out for the audio cues to try and get away from him in any way he can. And he's literally just going to go for it. Will he be able to finish him off? Not sure. Yes, he will. And he's going to tie things up and it will go to sudden death.
I thought falling down on the bounce pad there was going to somehow allow Psygib to get away and throw a massive spanner into the works. Luckily enough, it didn't. It means the game will continue into a sudden death. 4-4. All that matters is the next frag. Whoever gets that 5th kill will take the game. ZenAku makes his move on the Mega. Psygib, he fancies a heavy. And that rocket is going to chip away some of that armor, breaking it and leaving a bit of a rocket-sized dent in his chest. Now, 30 seconds have already passed. ZenAku playing it slow. Again, listening out for the audio and falling back into his slower playstyle that we saw over in regulation.
Yeah, the aggro at the beginning of ZenAku wasn't really going in his favour. But it's now decided to go back to how he used to play on Corrupted Keep. Just looking for top mid, but Psygib with a lovely rail there, just to chip damage out of him a little bit more. He's done one more. Surely Psygib's going to try and push him through. He's so desperate. He's so... do go for the frag as much as he can, but it's decided ZenAku tries to pull away. It's on 15 HP, gets caught just a little bit by the 3. Oh, and Psygib managed to take map number 2. You hate to see it.
That's unlucky. It could have been already 2 maps under his belt. Psygib coming through just the last minute there on Awoken to be able to snatch that one away. Neck and neck basically throughout the same thing. I mean, what, like 400 damage is all the difference that came into that series. The fact it went even to a sudden death as well. Such a low kill frag game as well, just being 8. Madness, Harry. Really quite a different affair from what we saw on Awoken earlier today.
Yeah, Psygib was playing a lot more passive. He seemed to be waiting for the right opportunity the entire time, which is the kind of approach you normally see Psygib play anyway. You saw from ZenAku a completely different approach. He decided to play a lot more aggro. He was trying to force out the mistakes rather than wait for them to come to him. But that's what Psygib was playing for. That's why he got that early lead. And then ZenAku was just like, actually, do you know what? I'll go back to my old ways, see what happens. He was making that slow comeback. But then again, during the final remaining minute and 20, he realized that, right, okay, I just need to go full out. Doesn't matter how much of a disadvantageous situation I am in terms of map positioning or stack. He needs to go in no matter what the consequences are. And he got away with it every single time. But Psygib did try and fight back here and there, maybe being a little bit too defensive, and sadly not enough hourglasses, etc., to try and at least have another orb to try and get away. I think he used it a little bit too early at one stage, and that's when he got caught off guard with that rocket jump when ZenAku got that second frag. But again, very clean. It was definitely a much slower pace game for what we normally see on an Awoken matchup, but it is Blood Covenant now, and I think this should be a little bit more of a scarier affair.
Yeah. I mean, it's not too often that we see our light versus light matchups. We're being treated to 2 of them already today, as well as we get into this Nyx versus the Slash over on Blood Covenant. Speed, again, is going to be quite a big question here. It's interesting. It definitely is going to be a bit of an odd one to kick us off, well, to round out this series, rather. For ZenAku, I'm curious if he's going to be able to somehow snatch this away and get a series win under his belt. It would probably be a huge relief for him to at least, at this point, get some points there. I think he's already way too far gone in terms of the overall standings and will probably be stuck in relegation towards the end of this stage. But if you can at least prove that, the benchmarks have been getting better as the season's gone on, that would be huge. Looks like we are ready to get underway with this one, though.
Map number 3, as we see, ZenAku's really been showing his stuff in the last couple of maps, but in the end, you saw what happened with Psygib early in that second map. He's going to try and close out the series, but you're right, though, Jack. ZenAku would have to try maybe at least 3-0 every single series in order to try and claw his way back outside of relegation, but it might be too little too late here. So it's more of a pride thing and maybe see what happens from there. But right now, Psygib is just on his tail, just trying to see exactly what is going on. Knows where he is and got the info he requires, but needs to be careful what he needs to do. It's speed and agility versus second chances here. And that chance will be going. He's going to try and hide away, but I don't think that's going to be enough, as ZenAku does try an LG, in which he does. That's the first frag on the board and a great way to start things out for the Australian.
Huge way to open up the game. Damn, ZenAku really playing quite aggressive already here, trying to set a trailblazing pace as he's getting a lot of damage off on towards Psygib. Psygib's picked himself up a railgun and has fallen back, left almost lifeless, but was luckily enough to grab himself that mega to just barely keep him alive with a bit of a lifeline. ZenAku fighting from the heightened angle. The hurty-verty is beautiful, and that is a second kill already in the bank.
A filthy rail there from ZenAku. He just needs to try and stay alive if he can. He should do this moment in time, but let's see what Psygib has on offer. The Ghost Wall did come in there, just barely manages to get away for the time being. But the tri-bolts again from ZenAku have been absolutely on point. But will the rail will be? No, it won't. But it's just one more, maybe 2 more now, as he's just trying to pull away for another opportunity. But goes in close quarters with him, and Psygib does get his first frag on the board.
Psygib getting knocked down quite low already, though. As he went for the risky play of being able to secure himself the heavy, he did, but took some damage for his troubles. Firing out some warning rockets as well, hoping for a potential push to come around the corner. But instead it's straight up the bounce pad and straight down out of the game, potentially here. Ghost Walk used to try and bait ZenAku. That was actually pretty damn smart, forcing him to believe that maybe Psygib dropped off the ledge chasing him as he came back around. Instead, stayed inside the Ghost Walk and gets that frag, tying the game now 2-2 apiece, 3 minutes in versus ZenAku.
That was a risky rocket pad jump there. I was quite surprised they even took that. Maybe he thought he had the info and had a feeling on where he could have been, but it just wasn't to be. But he knows exactly where he is now and has the info required. Now Psygib is just going to play passive for the time being. He's just wait for him to make the first move, but he knows he will be going for that mega whilst he goes for the heavy. Almost in sync. Will he be able to catch him here? I don't think he will, but he knows that he's underneath, hovering around that shotgun and the light as he goes up for the rockets. First rail does get missed by both of these players. And I think this is going to stay the same for a while unless ZenAku makes a push on Psygib.
Gets the tag across. Psygib down to 40 HP and 15 armor. Dashes as fast as he can back over towards the heavy spawn. ZenAku's going to drop down directly in front of him. Spooks him a little bit, forcing him to fire out some wildfire rockets. That's a beautiful rail, though, as he glides through the air with a jump over the arch. It's a cheeky peek to take. And he does tag ZenAku for his troubles. He drops off the poles as well, down to the ground as well, running around quite rapidly to attempt to get out of there. And does get away in this game of cat and mouse.
It definitely does indeed. And Psygib gets the Mega. Just adds insult to injury compared to ZenAku's right this moment in time. But so far, so good. ZenAku is just trying to keep that map control, but he's underneath at this moment. He just wants to try and find out exactly where Psygib is, but he needs to be careful not to get caught off guard. If he goes too fast or catches any part of the map geometry, then it's going to slow down massively, and Psygib is going to have a field day at this point. But Psygib knows where he is. He's keeping him on his toes a little bit. The LGs do come out, but will he be able to finish him off? That was very nice from Psygib. He was being very patient, just made sure he wait for the frag to come to him, and that was literally, couldn't ask for a better moment there to try and finish things off. So Psygib, first time in the lead.
Ooh. Rail's going to connect. Bit of damage done. Quick move back over towards the light before he again goes for another punishing shot to crush his way through ZenAku. Doing a ton of damage now. ZenAku darting below him with that plasma trail to stop him from being able to chase him down, Harry. As we're 5 minutes and 30 in, 2 rails remain for Psygib, and he is wilding out attempting to find this kill.
Psygib with those 2 beautiful rails there. He wants to try and finish things off. He's just realised he hasn't got any more rail ammo left. That's the leaving for the time being, but he's keeping up with the chip damage still, with the nail gun and the rockets. But it has got more rail ammo now to continue on his approach and try and increase his lead. But he does have the Mega. Will he get the first one? Yes, he does. Will he get the second one? Oh, he does get it, but he's not going to attempt the third in any way, as ZenAku already got a couple on him also. He's leaving for the time being as both players try and restack.
ZenAku able to get a little bit more going for himself, slightly quicker. He does have a bet back right now, although it won't matter as they're both hit at the same time. Psygib nearly taken clean out of the game with that one, though. Luckily, the Mega comes up to be able to save him. And ZenAku tries to skate his way across back over by the heavy. Psygib not willing to overextend, a little bit paranoid, holds the angle, so they do get a major item apiece. Who will find that next frag? Can ZenAku tie up the game here, though, as they are again falling back into combat, shooting towards each other. Beautiful rail will start to strip the limbs from ZenAku's body. Plasma Trail's forced to go down to again deny the push and the chase from Psygib as some space is created.
Psygib now is still after blood, wants to increase that lead, but now ZenAku's got that heavy. He's got to really be careful here. He is railable, but not anymore after picking that health ball. But what a beautiful rocket. Just needs one more shot potentially, but it looks like it won't be to be, as Psygib still has that 1 frag lead. ZenAku has got all the time in the world. He's still got just under 3 minutes, just maybe 2.5 minutes now to try and get something going here. But the chip damage has been remarkable. He's doing everything correct. It's just a matter of choosing the right moment, the right time. But the tri-bot there from Psygib. Both these players are just doing such good chip damage back and forth. There's level pegging between both of these players. Psygib managed to just barely get away with that light armor. We'll get another one. Oh, Saber can get another one, but decides not to hit himself a little bit, but decides to prioritize this fight with ZenAku as he managed to get away once more. ZenAku trying to get away with a cheeky rail shot there. Backs off onto the Mega. And it looks like the patient game is going to be played again.
Psygib launching himself up back on the ledge. 2 rails to play with and potentially try and slay with. as there's only a little bit of time left in this series, and it is critical they find a frag soon. 1 minute and 30 seconds left for ZenAku to try and find a frag and take it, potentially even to just a sudden death scenario. With how this game is going, I wouldn't be surprised. Psygib launching out of the portal, gets a bit of a tag off with a rail to at least do some damage to the stack of ZenAku. Replenishes his LG ammo. And that might come in clutch as well, as he's only got 1 rail to work with and 4 rockets to try and do some damage. Luckily finds an ammunition box on the way across. Does force out the Ghost Walk. This is going to be the last one he might get in unless he can cover up some ground and get those hourglasses back up, as it's all down to this final 60 seconds.
Yeah, he's still got at least 1, maybe can have 2, depending on the circumstances here, but he's pushing straight through very aggressively. Psygib is just waiting for him, baiting him out to try make him go through that telly. But ZenAku, his discipline has been very strong for the last 5 minutes, but now's his time to actually try and make something happen. He's got the speed to try and at least topple him, but it does go for the push, but he's going to get that mega, sadly, and Psygib is on the chase, managed to clean things up, and surely that is the final frag of the map. We'll see.
It's got to be. It's got to be. I mean, at this point as well, it doesn't even matter too much because the likelihood of ZenAku coming through with 2 frags in this next minute amount of time is so marginal, it's not going to happen. Psygib, off the back of that, he's basically taken the series here and assured himself that this will be a 2-1 split on the maps. The series win going the way of Psygib as he clutches it out here on Blood Covenant.
It's a real shame. It's with ZenAku, he is a good player. It's the fact that you see there that Psygib, okay, he had 1,000 more damage, had a bit more map awareness because he's the one waiting for ZenAku to come to him 9 times out of 10. But you saw from there, in every best of 3 ZenAku plays, his style changes a little bit too much, and that's kind of why he hasn't closed out some of these series. You saw from there with Awoken that he changed his style a little bit too much. How he played on Corrupted Keep was beautiful, to say the least. But that time round, yeah, okay, his discipline was very good. He tried to choose the right moment. But there was a couple of moments there I kind of felt like he really could have gone in and punished Psygib on probably about at least 1 or 2 occasions where he was on about 60 to 80 HP. And he still had a relatively decent stack. But he just didn't want to kind of take those high amount of risks. You saw from there, with a minute left, he had to take a massive gamble on a situation, a fight he did not want to take. And you saw from there, managed to pick up the mega and managed to clean things up and go after him 4-2.
No, that is the bit that's a bit baffling, obviously, into that last game. Even more so compared to what we've seen from in other weeks and in the first map that we saw played. ZenAku was a lot more aggressive. There, though, it seemed like he was quite timid in a lot of those scenarios. And it's interesting because it's the complete divergence from what we need to see from him. We have to see him playing a bit more aggressive. It's the only way he's going to be able to pull these out. So it's unfortunate, but overall, it's a 1-map win for him. 2 maps going the way of Psygib. So, of course, number 8 in the seedings of the American All-Star. Still getting a nice amount of points from that as we round out our second series of the day. Moving on to our third series that will be coming up after the break. It's Effortless taking on Dramis. That's always a bit of a classic bust-up between those two, so you will not want to miss it when we come back in with more Quake Pro League action after the break.